Hello everyone. Today is Saturday, August the 27th, and today I want to do a little bit of Fedsplaining, but because it's morning time and I'm in my nightdress, this is not going to be a face reveal video. And I was thinking of playing the bless you. I was thinking of playing the Fed Chair speech and then commenting on it, but I didn't want to mess with any copyright stuff. So I printed it out and I'll read it out. This is available for free on the Federal Reserve website, and I will share a link in the description. Find this. Let's read it, okay? I'm going to read it and I'm going to Fedsplain it. So, August 26, 2022. Monetary Policy and Price Stability by Chair Jerome H. Powell at Reassessing Constraints on the Economy and Policy, an Economic Policy Symposium sponsored by the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City, Jackson Hole, Wyoming. All right. So first of all, monetary policy. Please always differentiate that from fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is what the government decides. Therefore, when the government says, hey, we're going to have any like moratoriums, any loan forgiveness, any of that kind of stuff, that essentially creates money or creates looseness in the system, that is considered a fiscal thing. But the monetary thing is the monetary side. So fiscal versus monetary. The monetary side of it is what the private central banking cartel, or what do you want to call it? Not if I don't want to use the word cartel, the conglomeration or whatever. The interest rates and the policies that they decide, that's monetary, and the one that individual governments decide, that is fiscal. So bear that in mind, first of all. All right, let's go. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. At past Jackson Hole conferences, I have discussed broad topics such as the ever-changing structure of the economy and the challenges of conducting monetary policy. So they're conducting monetary policy, yeah, as opposed to fiscal policy. So I have in the past discussed, the challenges of conducting monetary policy under high uncertainty. Today, my remarks will be shorter, my focus narrower, and my message more direct. Yeah, why is that? Because now he's been confirmed, right? So now, and plus, he already knows, as we probably all do, if we don't, we should, that the strategy here is a tight monetary policy with a loose fiscal policy. And this means more government control with tighter business conditions. Actually, that's what that means in normal person speak. All right. So the FOMC's overarching focus right now is to bring inflation back down to our 2% goal. So their goal is to steal 2% from you every year, period. Just remember that, okay? Inflation. So their goal. So inflation is the creation of money, right? So creation of money, chasing fewer goods than are available. So if you continue inflation at 0%, then they're not stealing from you essentially, but their goal is to steal 2% from you every year. Just remember that. Okay, so our overarching focus right now is to bring inflation back down to our 2% 2% goal. Price stability is the responsibility of the Federal Reserve and serves as the bedrock of our economy. Without price stability, the economy does not work for anyone. In particular, without price stability, we will not achieve a sustained period of strong labor market conditions that benefit all. The burdens of high inflation fall heaviest on those who are least able to bear them. Okay, I'm going to go from here to here and then back up again because there's a link with what he says later on. He says the labor market is particularly strong. All right? Okay, and here he says, in particular, without price stability, we will not achieve a sustained period of strong labor market conditions that benefit all. Remember that, because then in between, he says there will be some softening of labor market conditions. And softening, what does softening conditions mean? Fire people. That's what that means. All right. Okay. Now, this is why Elizabeth Warren grilled him that day about like, oh, what are you actually doing here, blowtorch in the economy? This is exactly why John Titus, in his, I think his very first video was something called who is blowtorching US jobs, and I will add a link to that one too in the description. John Titus's channel is just absolutely incredible, wealth of information. Like, instead of studying economics in a college, I suggest you just watch John Titus. You'll learn everything you need without going into any student debt. All right. Okay, so let's keep on with this. Price stability. All right. Restoring price stability will take some time and requires using our tools forcefully to bring demand and supply into better balance. Reducing inflation is likely to require a sustained period of below trend growth. Moreover, there will very likely be some softening of the labor market conditions, of course. So what he's saying here is that, and for this reason, I downloaded some articles, and in case I lose the internet connection, I took snapshots of them. I will link all of them, in the description box. Okay. So, what is price stability? Okay, this, and I will, even though I'm not stating references here, I will link everything in the description. Price stability. So, two forces contribute to size of price change: the amount of shift in elasticity of demand and supply, and the supply curve. So, the most important thing for you to remember in terms of price stability is that don't think of price stability as a consumer, as a regular person. Okay, think about price stability in terms of if you are a producer of things. Okay, now when you what are some of your factor inputs, right? And I downloaded that as well. So what are some of your factor inputs of your prices? You have commodities, of course, and then you also have like you have the things, the materials, and you also have the people who work on the thing. So you have two factor inputs. One is commodity prices, and the second one is labor cost. So you can easily smash the commodity price by selling shorts, or like short contracts in the market. So that bit is, you can do that. But how do you deal with the human factor of labor cost, right? You do that by lowering people's wages, right? But how are you going to do that in an environment where the prices of everything are going up? You can't, because you have a principle called sticky nominal wages. Okay, and so this article comes straight from the ECB, and they say there's a lot of words here that to confuse people, but essentially they're saying that we take very seriously the threat or like the cost that sticky wages create for price stability, because like once you pay somebody something, they're not going to take less money. So the way to do that is to like basically fire everybody. They don't say it so directly. They use very nice like, look here, optimal fiscal policy, which means I've noted it all down, what the strategy is. It's incredible, actually. It's freaking very brilliant in terms of the sociopathy in it. But anyways, So what you do is you basically, oh wait, let's see more references. Yeah, oh, and this thing is very cool. Sorry to jump all over the place here, but I must say this because this is super important in getting you to understand what price stability really means. Okay, so deflation, which means when the prices come down, I mean, don't you as a consumer like it when things come down? No, that's not. It is inconsistent with the goal of price stability. Okay, so they don't want prices to come down for the regular person. They want to reduce wages essentially. Oh, and this bit is for later because he talks about that rational inattention. Anyways, I won't jump ahead. So now let's go back to what he's saying here. Yeah, so restoring price stability. So essentially, lowering the values in everybody's 401ks and stock market returns, etc. That will take time, but basically they need to smash it down sufficiently so that people will basically accept any pay in order to go to work, right? Right now that is a problem. So, all right. Restoring price stability will take some time and requires using our tools forcefully. And by the way, what are their tools? There are three tools. Their tools are demand destruction, with the reverse wealth effect, and a programmable digital currency, CBDC. All right, don't let anything fool you in terms of that. Okay, those are their tools basically. So where is it? There'll be some softening. Yeah. So to bring demand and supply into better balance, reducing inflation is likely to require a sustained period of below trend growth. So how do you get below trend growth? Basically, you cause a recession, right? What happens during a recession? People get fired. Therefore, moreover, there will very likely be some softening of labor market conditions, meaning there will very likely be layoffs, etc. While higher interest rates, slower growth, and softer labor market conditions will bring down inflation, they will also bring some pain to households and businesses. Well, duh. If I tell you that we'll have a recession, you will get charged higher rates of interest on any sort of outstanding debt that you have, and you will get fired on top of it. Well, duh, it will bring pain to households and businesses, right? These are the unfortunate costs of reducing inflation. He's right, yeah. But a failure to restore price stability would mean far greater pain. For whom? Okay. Okay. I'll let that one be for a bit. Okay. The U.S. economy is clearly slowing down from the historical high growth rates of 2021, which reflected the reopening of the economy following the pandemic recession. While the latest economic data may have been mixed, in my view, our economy continues to show strong underlying momentum. The labor market is particularly strong, which means, we the people, we can ask for more wages, we can negotiate better, and also there are a lot of job openings. That's what that means. It's particularly strong. But it is clearly out of balance. Yes, that's true. And I think that will get fixed by automation and by having robots do all of the quote unquote hard work type of stuff will be done by robots, and all the people who get displaced from that will be put on opioid antidepressants and all of that, and be made to feel happy playing video games, and that's the end of that. But anyways, I will stop. The labor market is particularly strong, but it's clearly out of balance, with the demand for workers substantially exceeding the supply of available workers. Well, of course, like, why would you want to give away your life energy for bullshit currency that is decreasing in value by the day? You wouldn't. However, if you created, like here, the pain, right? If you created sufficient pain, then you might just have to, because like you don't have a choice. It's like, yeah, it sucks, but I have to, otherwise I'll starve, right? That's the end game here. All right. So as substantially exceeding the supply of available workers, inflation is running well above 2%, and high inflation has continued to spread through the economy. All right, which means that, so let's not forget, inflation is the excessive supply of money. And so first it was only, at the level of asset prices, but now it is spread all the way to like the actual, cost of things, right? While lower inflation readings for July are welcome, a single month's improvement falls far short of what the committee will need to see before we are confident that inflation is moving down. We will, here's where I'm Fedsplaining a lot more. We are moving our policy stance purposefully to a level that will be sufficiently restrictive to return inflation to 2%, which this part, purposefully restrictive, blah, blah, blah. This means we will keep on increasing interest rates. At our most recent meeting in July, the FOMC raised the target range for the federal funds rate, the FFR, for the FFR to 2 point off. I think he means over here off 2.25 to 2.5%. So basically, 0.25 basis points, which is in the summary of economic projection range of estimates, where the federal funds rate is projected to settle for the longer rate. So this means where he's saying that basically, our FFR target was 2.5%, and we said that we are going to settle that for long-term neutral. Now, what does neutral rate mean? Neutral rate means that if we pay it is 2.5% interest, then you will be fine with leaving your money in the bank. Essentially, that's what that means. Okay, that's the short-term sort of like not money market rate really, but if you buy a treasury bill. And it's more than that, because it's like it's what the bank gets while you're still getting your 0%. So now get this though, okay? What he says, and again I'm going to skip to this part. No, I won't skip. I'll keep going with this. So. Which is in the SEP range of estimates of where the federal funds rate is projected to settle in the long run. In the current circumstances, with inflation running far above 2% and labor market extremely tight, estimates for longer range neutral are not a place to stop or pause, which means he will increase it further from 2.5 to something higher. Okay, he doesn't state it yet, but he will. And then he says, basically, I told you so. He says July's increase in the target range was the second 75 basis point increase in as many meetings. And I said then, so I told you so, that another unusually large increase could happen. Our decision at the September meetings and at the next one will depend on the totality of the incoming data and the evolving outlook. At some point, as the stance of monetary policy tightens further, it will become appropriate to slow the pace of increases. So basically here he's saying that I told you that I may tighten it tighter, right? But I'm also telling you that in September, we will do it. Hi, Wolfie. Wolf. Hey, Fluff, you're a good doggo. Come here, Fluffy. What happened? Fluff, dog. Fluff. So he says, like, basically he's saying, I told you so about this, but now I am also telling you that we will, like, don't count on anything for September because it'll depend on what we figure out then. Like, if some black swan happens, then maybe we won't, maybe we will. We may slow the increases, which means instead of going from, 75 basis points, we may do only 25 basis points. Yeah. So, but this is all basic hogwash, because what he says here now is restoring price stability, right? That means restoring the here, like we don't want deflation, nor do we want people to earn more basically. We want to give people a pay cut or get companies to fire people. So restoring price stability, so making that happen will likely require maintaining restrictive policy stance for some time. Well, yeah, I'd say. he said like, it's so plainly stated, like if we want to get companies to fire people, we need to increase interest rates and their so that they basically are tight as far as like their profitability, and they have to lay people off. That we said it here in one sentence. Okay, then he says the historical record shows cautions strongly against prematurely loosening policy. Committee participants, most objections should. Oh yeah. Okay, so this sentence here, historical record, he's basically saying we will not repeat the 2018 mistake because clearly we loosened at that time because the credit markets tightened, and and then everything went up asset price wise, and then we had to stage the 2020 thing, and then so we're not going to do that mistake. Yeah, we'll see about that actually. Then okay, this is the part that I was going to jump ahead to, but I paused on that. So he's basically stating it very clearly that he's not going to repeat the 2018 thing where they loosened again, and so we're not going to basically see another bump up, is what he's saying. Committee participants' most recent individual projections from the June SEP showed a median federal funds rate running slightly below 4% through the end of 2023. Participants will update their projections at the September meeting. Now here he's actually exactly told you where it's going to go. He has said that the FFR, that's the short-term rate, will go from 2.5 to slightly below 4. Now here I have made a note to show you what is the federal funds rate at the in trading view. Okay, so let's go there. Trading view, because here you will exactly see. Oh, come on, don't ask me for a survey now. Okay, so here you will see that basically in doing this, he what's going to happen is that you massively your reverse your that whole thing about the yield curve, the 2s and 10s flipping. This is an indicator of recession warning. So let's see if can you even see it. Okay, I'll read it out. Basically it shows that currently, oh yeah, see, they updated it already. So the 2s rate is showing right now at 3.403, and the 10s rate is showing 3.043. Okay, this is very important. And if you cannot see this properly and want to go to trading view or whatever, just type in US 02Y and US 10Y. And what this basically means is that is that you get paid a higher rate of interest. You get paid a higher rate of interest to loan out money for 2 years as opposed to 10 years. So then why the hell will anybody, loan out for 10 years, right? So, and that itself is an indicator of a massive recession, depression. Yeah. So that's that. So he's basically told you what he's going to do there. Then, our monetary policy deliberations and decisions build on what we have learned about inflation dynamics from both. Oh my God! Okay, this sentence of his is golden. From the high and volatile inflation of the 1970s and 1980s, and from the low and stable inflation of the past quarter century. So, high and volatile inflation of the 70s and 80s is visible theft. But the stable, low and stable means just like stealing $1 from your wallet or a few coins from your wallet every day that you don't notice it, right? That's what that means. So he's basically said, now he's stated here in these next pages, all that he has learned from these, the lessons that they've learned, okay? So here. The first lesson is that central banks can and should take responsibility for delivering low and stable inflation. So basically, we must put our hands in that cookie jar and do what we can over there. It may seem strange now that central bankers and others once needed convincing on these two fronts, but as former, don't even get me started on this guy, has shown, both propositions were widely questioned. So basically he's saying, that screw up that this guy made, and then it was questioned. Now we are saying that, your questioning was right, So basically, we looked into what you had, feedback you'd given us, and now we are like, we were going to do this. So our responsibility to deliver price stability is unconditional. This means we will tighten, no matter what, we will tighten. And what does it mean when you say we will tighten? We will raise interest rates. That's what it says. It is true that the current high inflation is a global phenomenon, and that many economies around the world face inflation as high or higher than seen here in the US. It is also true, in my view, that the current high inflation in the US is a product of strong demand and constrained supply, and the Fed's tools work principally on the aggregate demand. Okay, this sentence right here is like, he's kept it so nicely, able to establish plausible deniability. He's a lawyer after all. So this is a great sentence right here. So basically he's saying, in my view, right? So you can't debate somebody else's view. Everybody's entitled to their own view. Like I can say, in my view, the sky is currently pink. And you can say, you know what, you're a delusional, colorblind person, but it's my prerogative to have my view, right? So he's kept it completely within the realm of plausible deniability. And so he says, in my view, so the high inflation is a product of demand, of strong demand and tight and constrained supply. But actually, let's face it, high inflation is not actually only this. High inflation is also, and actually primarily, one would say, if you're an Austrian economist, you will say that high inflation is sheerly the product of creating money. That's it. But that's why he's saying, in my view, because he's entitled to his own damn view, as flawed as it may be, right? Okay. So, I'll stretch my legs. Okay, so he's saying, in my view, inflation happens because of, the demand supply, very high demand, tightening supply. I have power over demand, therefore I will kill demand. That's what he's basically saying. The Fed's tools work principally on aggregate demand. So I will fix what is within my realm of fixing, which is to kill demand, and I will kill demand. Okay. None of this diminishes Federal Reserve responsibility to carry out our assigned task of achieving price stability. There's clearly a job to do in moderating demand, meaning killing demand, to better align with supply. We are committed to doing that job. The second lesson is that public expectations, which means psychology, about future inflation can play an important role in setting the path of inflation over time. Today, by many measures, longer-term inflation expectations appear to remain well anchored. Well anchored means you think over time things will be all right. Well, in the long term, we're all dead, right? That's what whatever his name was, Keynes, somebody. In the first economics textbook that I read when I was like 17 years old in college, I read that sentence and I went, oh, what the fuck, man? Like, then why even bother? Like, it was the most depressing sentence I ever read. I should have studied Austrian economics instead of this bullshit economics. But anyways, that's what that's what we taught in college. So there we go. So that's what I'm going to go here next. Okay, so he says longer term, people think that the inflation expectations appear to remain well anchored. That is broadly true of surveys of households, businesses, forecasters, and market-based measures. But that is not grounds for complacency, which means that even though you people think that over time things will come down, because you guys are normal people and you understand that they cannot keep on increasing prices. Like at some point the businesses will have to start firing and therefore prices will come down naturally. We're not going to just take that for granted. We're just going to just completely slice you till it hurts. That's what they're saying. But what they're saying is if public so we won't remain complacent. We will completely slash you until we've got what we want. Okay. If the public expects that inflation will remain low and stable over time, then absent major shocks, they will. Unfortunately, the same is true of expectations of high and volatile inflation. During the 1970s, as inflation climbed, and actually, let's face it, in 1970s, it wasn't inflation that climbed. Basically, what happened was that Nixon defaulted on the whole world by saying, hey, you guys, we told you how we are $20 or whatever, $35 or whatever the price was of gold, $35 to 1 ounce of gold, and whatever crap you export to us, and then we import and we'll pay you in gold. We're defaulting on that. That's what happened. And so that's actually what happened. A currency reset happened, okay? And so as inflation climbed, the anticipation went higher. So that's psychology, right? Like if you think that it's going to go up, you're going to go buy now, and then you're going to keep on chasing the prices up, and the supply and shortages tighter and tighter. Okay, so he's saying here that here, as Chairman Paul Volcker put it at the height of great inflation in 1979, inflation feeds in part on itself. So part of the job of returning to a more stable and productive economy must be to break the grip of inflationary expectations. So not inflation, but the expectations. Remember that. One useful insight into how actual inflation may affect expectations about its future path is based on the concept of rational inattention. When inflation is persistently high, households and businesses must pay close attention, like we all are now, and they don't like it when we pay close attention. They like it when we don't pay any attention, when we walk around like zombies and do what they tell us. That's what they like. So when inflation is persistently high, households and businesses must pay close attention and incorporate inflation into their economic decisions. Yeah, obviously. When inflation is low and stable, so basically when we keep stealing from you slowly, then you don't notice, and then they are freer to focus their attention elsewhere. Okay, I downloaded the definition of rational inattention. In economics, the theory of rational inattention deals with the effects of the cost of information acquisition on decision making. For example, when the information required for a decision is costly to acquire, the decision makers will rationally take decisions based on incomplete information. Okay, so they want to make it too complicated and too expensive for us to gather information, and in that situation, we will be operating with rational inattention, which is basically like, as he said, he wants that. Okay. I mean, they're telling you what they want. It's not, they're not liars. They tell you exactly what you want. The problem is we don't listen properly and like understand the subtext, right? And yeah, why basically, and rationality, yeah. So essentially he's using the principles of behavioral economics, right, in the bounds of rationality and all these fun principles that that the value of they even have these principles, okay, value of imperfect information, like how the value of imperfect information helps them basically. There's a lot more here actually. I should show it to you. Oh yeah. Oh, this is genius. Okay, yeah, because basically it's a way to like keep you sufficiently distracted, and in the meantime, increase taxes and increase loan forgiveness type things. Because remember, these two are fiscal; they are government ones, and the monetary one is the Federal Reserve one. Yeah, temporary rigid nominal wages. Okay, yeah. All right, so when inflation is low and stable, they are freer to focus their attention elsewhere. Former Chairman Alan Greenspan put it this way: for all practical purposes, price stability means that expected changes in the average price level are small enough and gradual enough that they do not materially enter business and households' financial decisions. So if you keep on slowly, like in India we have a word, if you understand Hindi you'll know this. It's called zor ka dhakka dheere se. That zor is a heavy, dhakka is a push, dheere se means it's like slowly. It's like a big ass tanker hitting you hard but slowly nudging you off the cliff. That's what that means. Zor ka dhakka dheere se. That's what this is. All right. Of course, inflation has just about everyone's attention right now, which highlights a particular risk today. Yeah, because if everybody is looking at it, then they cannot engage this rational intention business, right? Like they're basically out cold with their shorts off. We know what they're up to. So, and they don't want us to. That basically that's that. Which highlights a particular risk today. The longer the current bout of high inflation continues, the greater the chance that the expectations of high inflation will become entrenched. That brings me to the third lesson, which is that we must keep at it until the job is done. So basically saying this is not the time to slow down, because if we slow down now and then we have one more, like say, boost in the so let's say we have one more pump in the stock market, and people go, you know what, that's it pumped, I'm selling now, I'm taking my money and running, right? Then they're out basically. They'll know. So they don't want that. So they're like, no, we cannot have any further pumps basically. History shows that the employment costs of bringing down inflation are likely to increase with delay as higher inflation becomes more entrenched in wage and price setting. Yeah, because so essentially saying that the more a pump happens, the you'll want to get paid more, you'll negotiate for more money from your employer, and then it'll be harder to lower your to like reverse your pay level basically. The successful Volcker disinflation in the early 1980s followed multiple failed attempts to lower inflation over the previous 15 years. So he's basically talking about the 1965 to the 1980 period, because the dollar nearly died, nearly collapsed in 1979, 1980, and then it came back because of some oil drama that happened where some guy in the Middle East said something about he will not take the dollar for oil, and then they did something, they started some war with them. You can look that up actually in history. I won't go into that because it's quite controversial, and also I don't know precisely which country or the specific details like that I can back with like research paper. So I won't talk about topics that I don't have research backing on. But there was something that happened over there, 1979, 1980. Yeah, so look it up. Actually, if you want to know, look up a video on Maneko64 channel. He recorded this and uploaded this sometime during the last week of December 2021. So go to his channel, Maneco 64. That's Mario's channel. Go to like his videos are sorted in order. So go to December 2021 and look up the last week of December, and maybe watch all of his last week of December. In one of them, he reads out the article about what happened in 1979, 1980. You'll hear everything you need to know about this. Okay, this brings me to the third lesson. Oh yeah, okay. The successful Volcker disinflation in the early 1980s followed a lengthy period of very restrictive monetary policy was ultimately needed to stem the high inflation and start the process of getting inflation down to the low and stable levels that were the norm until the spring of last year. Like, we've been stealing from you from 1984-ish to 2021 without you noticing it. Now you are noticing it, so holy shit, you're screwed. So our aim is to avoid that outcome by acting with resolve now. These lessons are guiding us as we use our tools. And all those of you who count the number of times he says the word tools, add that to your count. To bring inflation down, we are taking forceful and rapid steps to moderate demand. Moderate demand means kill demand, so that it comes into better alignment with supply. So basically, we're going to have a demand destruction event or demand destroying policies until we get this done, and to keep inflation expectations anchored. We will keep at it until the job is done. The end. And here I want to Fedsplain his usage of the word tools. What are his tools? He's got 3 tools. First is demand destruction. Second is the reverse wealth effect, right? Like if your stock price is low, if your portfolio is low, you just got fired, bless you, Wolfie. You're not going to be buying any stuff, and that will cause a reduction in demand. So that's a demand destruction in the reverse wealth effect part. And the last one, drumroll please, is programmable money in the form of CBDC, central banking digital currency. Yeah. So, and of course, that would require an authorizing law by Congress, as he stated in another interview, where somebody asked him, like, is CBDC even legal? And he said, well, we would need authorization from the government. So basically, right now you have 3 things in the realm of government. You have, a sort of thing about higher taxes, increasing like all sorts of loan forgiveness type of things, and a government approved Fed coin type of a thing, and you have a demand destroying event, and you have reverse price stability, and you make all that happen, and then you are all set as far as them achieving their goals. So that was me Fedsplaining. And yeah, what I'm sharing on the screen right now is something interesting I read on the ECB website. Yeah, it's very, 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 very interesting. Yeah, essentially, yeah, one world taxation. They smooth. They use such beautiful words. It can't even go there. Anyways, was there any other stuff that I highlighted there? Yeah, no. Okay, yeah, that was all I had. And, Woolly bear. Woolly. Say bye, Woolly. Bye. Okay. Have a nice weekend, everyone. Bye.